The level of Lake Mead has risen 4.6 feet in 3 weeks, mainly primarily to the additional water evacuated from the lake starting on April 24. The depth of the water in Lake Mead looked to have leveled out on May 17, but the increase is expected to persist until at least the last day of May. Lake Mead has increased 11.05 feet since it peaked at 1,040.71 feet over the ocean's surface on July 27, 2022. Lake Mead's current level is at 1,051.76 feet. Oh, you're wondering why I'm lecturing you about the level increase. Because due to the rise in level, something terrifying has been emerged. There is something terrible going on. But what exactly is that? So let us uncover the truth in this video. The initial discovery of human skeletons at Lake Mead happened one after other in fast order. The massive bathtub ring that functioned as an indicator of the harsh droughts in the Southwest and the dwindling number of recreational alternatives made the ecological disaster taking place at the biggest water body in the U.S. extremely difficult to overlook. However, the corpses were a gloomy new indicator of the situation. Unsettling findings came to light when water levels dropped to unprecedented lows from May to October. Surrounding the lake, possibly 5 different sets of skeletons were discovered. A body was discovered inside a barrel by 2 people who were sailing close to a harbor. A jawbone was discovered on the beach barely a week later by 2 sisters riding boardwalks. A group of people out for an outing in July came across some partial skeleton bones buried in muck near the shore. Officials are currently working diligently to locate the deceased. A team of detectives, medical inspectors, support personnel, and experts has been attempting to find solutions to the incidents that have captivated people all over the globe since the initial set of human remains was discovered last spring. According to Melanie Rouse, the funeral director for Clark County, we try to figure out these people through any means we can put forward. Their labor is difficult. The initial set of the body parts, which date as far back as the 1970s, were only skeleton parts after some of the corpses were submerged for years. It's extremely harder to determine who the skeletons belong to as well as what took place now that so many years have gone by. In the first instance, an individual was shot before being put in a barrel. This constituted a homicide. However, in other cases, like drownings, it is very impossible to determine the precise reason and cause of death. One individual, a man suspected to have died, but the reason for death was ruled unknown, has been officially recognized by officials. They are still investigating the other instances. It gets more difficult whenever there's a gap between the moment of death and the period of rehabilitation, according to Rouse. Boaters exploring Lake Mead's sparkling waters on a Sunday in May heard a scream coming from the shore as they made their way back to the dock. After further investigation, they discovered a rusted metal barrel trapped in the muck next to a busy boating ramp. They could make out garments, a shirt, a belt, as well as what they later identified as corpses inside. The fact that the man's garments and trainers were still present allowed authorities to establish that the man was murdered between the middle of the 1970s and the beginning of the 1980s. The barrel was partially covered in muck, but the water level was considerably deeper when it was dumped in. The nest was about 100 feet below and a few hundred meters from the shore. The deceased was fatally wounded in the skull, executed style, then stuffed into the drum, which, according to the local mob museum, was traditionally a mob method of body disposal. The brutal murder was referred to as having all the makings of a gangland murder by the museum's exhibits. Widespread attention was sparked by the incident and the additional bones that were discovered in the lake and frequently noticed by families out on the water. It has frequently been forgotten that the incidents are unlikely to have much in connection other than the environmental disaster that exposed them, according to Michael Green, a former lecturer at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. When you add the idea of discovering corpses, people become intrigued, according to Green. Organized crime is an intriguing and significant topic everywhere, but Las Vegas has a connection with the topic that simply renders it further fascinating, he added. It's barely acknowledged enough how hazardously and abruptly the lake has fallen about this emblem. Due to a lack of moisture that has affected the area for almost 20 years, the barrel was revealed. The lake has been exhausted, drying out streams, endangering hydroelectric output, and restricting boat launches as a result of a punishing dry period in the region of the Colorado River that has been accompanied by excessive extraction, intense heat, and diminished snowpack. The lake, which provides 25 million people with essential water, is only 26% full and has reached its lowest point since 1937, when it was first constructed. Large areas of Lake Mead have been exposed by the receding water levels, exposing old towns and long-lost artifacts, like a boat from the Second World War, additionally to the dead. What was the verification procedure then? The most crucial information is this. The popular lake's shore, which had more than 7 million people last year, is where the Clark County coroner's work begins. According to Rouse, prosecutors gather all evidence they can and work to determine any distinguishing characteristics from the human form, clothes, and other facts. The procedure is identical for skeletal remains, like all 4 other sets found in the body of water this year, but Rouse said it is more challenging since there aren't always clear physical markers. When the initial inquiry is over, the body parts are taken to the office of the coroner for an examination by a physician. This evaluation may involve an autopsy, a set of images, and in certain circumstances, interviews with forensic dental professionals, anthropologists in forensics, and specialty radiologists. Investigators try to gather DNA along the route that can be utilized to determine the identities of bodies. A missing person complaint is still necessary, though, so that investigators have anyone to assess the information with after all that labor. Then the question of what occurred to the victims whose corpses were discovered still needs to be answered by authorities. The Clark County Coroner's Office regularly deals with remains found in mountains, deserts, and sources of water like lakes, and each environment presents a unique set of difficulties. According to Jennifer Burns, a specialist in forensic anthropology and lecturer at the State University of Nevada, Las Vegas, who worked together with the coroner's office, corpses left submerged can be subjected to numerous scavengers, and the currents can move certain pieces of the body away. Burns speculated that once someone went missing upstream, their body might have been found in the lake as their last resting place. However, when merely a skeleton is left, it isn't frequently feasible to determine a cause of passing away, even after the remains have been recognized. Skeletons are not as helpful as the entire body when there is connective tissue, body parts, and the epidermis, according to Burns, until there has been some sort of harm. One set of bones has been correctly identified by the coroner's autopsy team as belonging to Thomas Erndt, a 42-year-old who vanished in the ocean in 2002 while traveling with his family on a lake trip at nighttime. The reason and way of Ernst's death are unknown, but it is thought that he drowned. After 20 years, his family conveyed their relief at the long-awaited retrieval and recognition of the body and extended their appreciation. That's among the causes, according to Rouse, why we strive to do the work we do, to be allowed to offer peace and to be able to go back these unknown people to their relatives and give them an identity. The lake will probably keep dropping, pushing additional treasures to the surface, as the water system is in danger. Those who have followed Lake Mead closely anticipate more attention being paid to the problem that led to the revelations. I wouldn't be shocked because it's a large body of water that's vanishing quickly, according to forensic anthropologist Burns. Strangely, the majority of individuals are concentrating on how they look individually rather than the crisis that the planet is in. What are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments section, and if you like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more interesting content. See you in the next video.